Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast, your home for all things Washington Commanders. Actually, this says Wizards, not Washington. Sorry. And we are live from what we say playoff town. We're playoff town now, at least for the Commanders. We are 11-5, which I think actually exceeds all of the predictions we did at the beginning of the season for all three of us when we went through our record predictions. We have exceeded those, and I'm quite sure that the Commanders have exceeded everybody who's watching and or listening to this podcast. They have exceeded your expectations. Speaking of which, watching and listening, subscribe to this podcast on all podcast platforms and tell your friends to tell some friends. Gentlemen, last night, the Commanders played the Atlanta Falcons, and I want to get in this game a little bit because it was so meaningful. Oh, my Lord. I have realized and I accept that I'm old because I had such a hard time staying awake through the whole game last night. And when it went to OT, I got a little bit depressed, but I was super excited that we had a chance to continue to win the game. Eric, did you get to watch the game? What'd you think about it?
I got to watch every little bit of it. No trouble staying awake. But I've been off work for like 2.5 weeks now, so I'm gonna be miserable on it come the second. But yeah, I'm able to stay up late right now. That game was so frustrating in the first half, wasn't it? Just the penalty, just the way this team shot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. They really couldn't get anything going. And then they just flipped the switch in the second half. And in the fourth quarter, Jayden just put on that Superman cape, just did everything. And then OT, that was all Jayden Daniels. So it was pretty impressive. But I've been saying that I really would like to see a playoff win this year, and based on what I've seen these past couple of weeks, I'm not sure I'm going to get that. But we'll be in the playoffs, and the first step to winning a playoff game is making the playoffs, and there we are. So I'm looking forward to at least an extra week of football, hopefully more. But yeah, last night's game was a bit of a roller coaster.
It was a lot of fun. Hey, Mike, what do you think about the game?
Um, kind of, I wouldn't say expected, but I'm not surprised. The defense is really a problem and probably will be the reason we don't win a playoff game, Eric. Um, they're just bad, especially in the secondary. Props to the coaches for making adjustments in the second half. They pretty much shut down Bijan Robinson in the second half like they did Barkley. But I'm just confused. I'm like, what the heck is going on in the first half where the defense is getting cooked on the ground? And yeah, but as far as the game, it was a fun game. It was a cool game. It was a good atmosphere. Just be glad that we have Jayden Daniels. That's all I can say for real.
Yeah, my notes from the game, mental notes. You're right. The pass defense was a mess yesterday. I think our safeties are just becoming a bigger and bigger prop. No, Jeremy Chin is great. Let me take that back. He plays safety. I think sometimes he splits out the corner, but Quan Martin in pass coverage. I know he had the interception and all that stuff, but man, there are some curious things going on there. I thought our corners, Sammerstro didn't have the best game yesterday. I think Mike Davis, what? What was that? Yeah. So, hey, newsflash, you can be worse than Benjamin St. Juice. We found out. Um, I love though the pressure that our defense brings. And I think a lot of times that our secondary gets into trouble is when Joe Witt blitz. We've talked about that on this podcast before. He's blitzing a lot, and that leaves some folks exposed on the back end. Dante Fowler is amazing, but he's had what 2 or 3 weeks in a row where he's gotten a personal foul penalty, hitting the quarterback high. Bro, bring it down a little bit. Bring it down a little bit. I think one of those led to a touchdown that they got too, if I'm not mistaken, this week. My other notes are Brian Robinson. We kind of hinted towards it last week. We got to upgrade this offseason. We need to upgrade this offseason big time. The receivers being out yesterday really showed up, but I think they did well with what they had. Jayden distributes the ball very well. Every time I'm ready to write Zach Ertz off, he has a game where he makes just a ton of plays. It's so weird, man. Like, and he had that big yak gain yesterday after that catch across the middle, which was really nice to see. I think John Bates had a really key catch yesterday too, and so props to him because I rag on him quite a bit. I thought, just Jayden was unbelievable, right? That one interception was bad, we saw it. But man, that guy is just
Was
so
it?
clutch.
It wasn't a
Was
bad
it
interception.
bad?
I didn't think
Yeah,
it was
that's
bad.
what I was about to say.
That was a great play by Ellis and a great call.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a bad interception. I think Jayden knew what he was doing. They ran something that he had never seen before, and he got caught on it. That was a great
And
interception by Ellis.
if you notice, they kept running it. They just kept running it,
He didn't call for
and
it.
eventually he adjusted to it. Because I saw a linebacker drop back later in the game, and he waited. Like, he just waited an extra second, and then eventually the person was open. And had he did that the first time, the interception never would have happened. It's bad in the fact that it sucked that it was in the red zone, but yeah, that was a great play by Atlanta. I can't even hate.
I think so. And maybe I'm using TV copy bias where you get to see it and you know that linebacker is going to drop. I thought, maybe he could have spotted that. I could be wrong, though. Like I said, I was tired. So the interception did happen, though, and he's had some in consecutive games, but he's taking chances with the football, which is what you want, right? You don't want guys stat padding or stat watching, right? You want guys taking chances. And the guy just has elite ball placement. He knows how to throw. Like, yeah, I always like to compare to like MLB pitchers, right? Like the guy has 5 different pitches he can throw, and he can throw them all for strikes. It's just outstanding. On the other side of the football, I don't know what Atlanta was doing with Bijan. Bijan looked electric early on, and then they kind of just stopped. Michaell Penix, I said this on social media, he looks like he's going to have a real future in this league, but he throws one speed all the time, and that's that fastball that he throws. Whether he's throwing deep, he's throwing short, he's throwing intermediate, it's one speed and one height. And it reminds me, throwing the football wise, of Cam Newton. Not the mobility, but the way he throws the football. He throws 100 miles an hour. He throws a very heavy football, and it's just it gets there. And when it gets there, it's beautiful. But he is missing guys on crossing routes left and right. He's got to clean that up, and he needs to learn some touch to his passes. But I think he's going to have a bright future. He's a big guy. He looked the part. I thought he did pretty well. When they scored on that 4th and whatever that was, oh, man, I wanted to punch myself in the face. I was like, dude, what are we doing?
Who didn't see that coming out? Let's be honest. We all knew they were scoring.
Dude, how nervous were you guys when Riley Patterson lined up for that kick? Because I thought that kick was good and made when it left his foot and it curved back into the middle of the uprights. I was like, oh, I guess this is over with.
Yeah, I had no idea it was going to be short until it actually hit the ground. I was like, oh, it's short.
Yeah. How high was your confidence level when we won the toss in overtime? Were you guys like, oh, it's a wrap?
I actually felt great after they scored that touchdown late because I really thought they would just go down and kick a field goal and end it. Excuse me, but they just, for whatever reason, couldn't connect They couldn't connect on those couple of passes. He had a drop by Zacchaeus, who had a fantastic game. He's had 2 fantastic games in a row, but he had that drop that really could have extended the drive and ended that game a little earlier. I was a little nervous because they were throwing at Mike Davis. So yeah, it was a little concerning, but thankfully Raheem Morris didn't know he had timeouts to use. So good for us that happened.
Yeah, I thought watching that play when it happened, I thought Zacchaeus might have scored if he caught that ball at the end of the game.
He was going to go somewhere. He was not going to go down quickly.
Yeah,
he probably thought so too, which is probably why he dropped it.
Exactly. I've been really pleased with what Zacchaeus has given us offensively since Diami got hurt. He's done a great job. But yeah, there were a couple of drops there. I think Ertz had a drop, or somebody else had a drop on that drive too. I think it was Ertz that he went up to try to go get and hit him in the face and all that stuff. But it's okay. I mean, he made the play that mattered when it mattered. So I got no hate in my heart. So quick question for you guys. So we played Dallas this week, as you guys know. Do you guys care about trying to go for the 6th seed, or should we try to get our guys some rest?
Man, just the thought of the Rams passing game against that secondary is not a good one. Yeah. With all the weapons, and the Rams are really playing well. They've won 9 out of 11 games. Like they're really playing well, and their offense is humming. They've got all their weapons back at the right time, and without Marshawn Lattimore, we can't cover anybody because, Sainer still is a nice player. He's a rookie. I think he's playing way above rookie level right now. I think he's playing really well, but he can't hold it down by himself. And you've got Mike Davis and Benjamin St. Pass interference as your other, corner. And that's just not going to do it in the playoffs. So if they can't get Marshawn Lattimore somewhat healthy enough to play, the Rams might make quick work of this Commanders team. But that said, do you want to go back and play at Philly in the playoffs? I don't know if we're ready to hold up with that either. So just let the chips fall where they may. Although 6th seed looks better than 7th seed on paper, so let's try to hold on to the 6th seed.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like I would love to get some guys some extra rest, but yeah, and plus it's tough going into the playoffs potentially off of a loss. I like to go in there winning. You kind of got some momentum built up. What do you think, Mike?
I just so happened to have like one of the only things I read today was Dan Quinn saying that they're going for metal or pedal to the metal with the game on Sunday versus Cowboys. They're going after it. And I feel like if they're going after it the way the Cowboys been playing, I don't foresee, well, I guess it's foreshadowing, but I don't foresee the second game going the way the first game went, especially if Washington goes after it. So it kind of doesn't matter what I think if they're doing it anyway. I'm not scared of no team compared to another team, if you know what I'm saying. Like the Lions or the Rams or the Eagles or the Bucks or the Falcons, like all of them can beat us. Like all of them can beat us. But the good thing is that I think they can beat anybody too. With the way Daniels has been playing, they can go on the road and beat anybody. The offense, well, not even the offense, he has been that hot. And if he gets any help during the game, they can beat anybody. So the difference between 7 and 6, like Ali, I don't want to play Philly again, but it's no difference than going to LA, in my opinion. They're going to be underdogs no matter what.
One thing I'll say about Philly is there is approximately a 100% chance that Sirianni lets Saquon Barkley chase the record and Barkley pulls a hamstring this week. So I can almost guarantee you that something's going to happen like that. So maybe in Philly without Saquon is not scary at all to me. They need Hurts and Saquon playing in tandem for that offense to work. And if one of those guys is out, then they are very vulnerable, and an early playoff exit is very possible. So if Sirianni has half a brain, he will sit his starters this week because there's really nothing to play for other than that record. It doesn't really matter because it's 17 games and OJ did it in 14. So I don't even care about Dickerson's record. OJ Simpson, say what you will about his personal life. And there's a lot to say. Dude ran for 2,000 yards in 14 games, and I don't think anybody's touching that anytime soon. But we know Sirianni doesn't have half a brain, so he will play Saquon this weekend, and something bad will happen because that's just how things work. And I couldn't think of a better city for it to happen to.
I watched a lot of the Rams game because they've been on TV. Eric, I'm with you. I think the Rams are like just on a heater right now.
Really good.
Offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
And I think Matthew Stafford is still Matthew Stafford. If you haven't watched the Rams this year, trust me, and they have two receivers that we can't do anything with, and Puka Nacua and our boy Cooper Kupp. And they also have Kyron Williams as a running back. They present a lot of problems, and I would not be surprised if the Rams end up in the NFC Championship game somehow.
Yeah, Stafford is something like 9-0 against Washington career-wise too. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Philly is Philly too. I think there's holes in their game because we played Philly really well both times and then just couldn't get it done at the end of the first game because of our kicker. So I'd rather play Philly, but personally, but I think either way, we got to show up and play who we play. Now
you could, and the thing is, you could end up playing Tampa or Atlanta again. If things work out, if Tampa gets a win and the Rams don't, I forget who the Rams play, but if they don't win and Tampa does, then Washington would end up playing Tampa as the 6th seed. So, or Atlanta, if depending on how that goes. So there's a lot to still unfold. But
I feel the same way about Tampa that I do about the Rams, though. Like, I don't think that that's a much different matchup for us because they run the ball really well too in Tampa Bay, and they have good receivers in Evans, and then McMillan, that rookie's coming along. So, and that's why you can't really like cherry pick your matchup because anybody can beat anybody. The freaking Lions are losing to the 49ers right now as we speak, 14-6. So anything can happen. The Cowboys are without CeeDee Lamb. I think he's done for the year. They're with Cooper Rush as their backup quarterback. So Sunday should be not an issue whatsoever. If we get up by 20, put Mariota in. That's all I'm saying. Because I will say this. When our boy Daniels took that big hit by the goal line, I was like, oh no, is that the ribs again? Because he got up really slow. They took the timeout. I was like, oh no. But he was fine. He's at the Wizards game tonight. I just protect Daniels at all costs is ultimately what I'm saying. You know?
Yep.
All right. I kind of feel like it's fool's gold to go through this process and say like key matchups or whatever this game. So I'm just going to ask you straight up from this, Eric, what do you want to see from this Cowboys game?
I want to see everybody stay healthy. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Like I want to see Marshawn Lattimore in bubble wrap. Like even if he's like healthy enough to play this week, I don't really want him playing because he's going to get hurt again. I'd rather have him get hurt in a playoff game than like not be able to play the playoff game. So, I'd like to see him on bubble wrap. Like you said, if there's a lead, if there's an opportunity to get, Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, get those guys out and not have to play those guys, absolutely take that. Bobby Wagner. If there's, and that's not saying that there is, because outside of last week, Dallas has actually been playing really well over the past month, starting with starting the week before the Commanders game. They've been playing really well. They just got, boat race last week by the Eagles with nothing to play for. So let's hope that continues. And this is kind of a cakewalk for us. But I mean, obviously the first game with Dallas was tough. I don't know if it's going to be an easy game because I think those guys are going to come out and play. Cooper Rush is like 2-0 now against Washington. So let's hope it's an easy game, but I don't know. I just want to see everybody come out of the game healthy and ready to play that first playoff game. That's the main thing I'm looking for. I don't care about any kind of stats or anything like that. I just want to make sure that everybody can show up, that first week or that second week in January for that playoff game.
Absolutely. Mike, what do you want to get out of this game?
So there's like an interesting trend that I noticed, and if somebody has said something about it, at me at it or send it to me or whatever. But since the NFL has been forcing teams to play division opponents the last week of the season or whatever, there's been a trend with Washington versus Dallas. In these Week 17 games, somebody gets punished. Doesn't matter if they clinch the playoff spot or whatever. One team usually destroys the other team. Last year, it was Washington's turn to get destroyed. I remember it wasn't on my birthday. It was a birthday weekend. They whooped us. I think it was like 38-10 or something like that. Year before that, that was the Sam Howell game. We ain't had nothing to play for. Dallas clinched already. Washington whooped them. It was like 28-6. Sam Howell looked amazing that game. Year before that, Dallas whooped us. The year Washington went to the playoffs, I think they whooped Dallas in Week 17. So usually somebody's getting whooped in this game. And I feel like this time I'll be disappointed if Washington isn't doing the whooping. They have the momentum. The city is it's electric right now. The weather is even feeling good outside right now. That's how good things have gone for the Washington Commanders this season. And I'll be disappointed if they don't smack Dallas on Sunday. It's that simple.
Yeah. You know what? So I agree with that. But what I want to see too is I want to see Chris Rodriguez get RB1 reps the entire Dallas game just to see what he has. Can we get something out of that? I don't want to see Marshawn Lattimore at all this week against Dallas. Rest him for the playoffs, please. I'm good with that. I don't care what it means for our secondary. Put Benjamin St. Juste back in there if we have to. I don't want to see him. I would love to see Derek Forrest get some more reps at safety too. And then, listen, we got an issue at interior defensive tackle we got to talk about. Not now, but I'm just going to say this. We got $200 million tied up in that position. I am not seeing the results from that $200 million. And so rotate some guys in there. We'll see for the future. And then go ahead, Mike.
No, so I'm glad you said something about that because that's the defensive change that the Commanders made in the second half. I don't know if you all noticed, they started playing Payne at defensive end. And I think the same thing happened last week when they tried to stop Barkley. They started rotating 3 defensive tackles in at once. And piggybacking off of what you said, for the money that they're making, we shouldn't have to put a third defensive tackle on the line to stop the run.
Right.
I don't think Jeffrey Simmons or Chris Jones needs another defensive tackle on the line other than the other one that's next to them to help. They don't need reinforcements. They are the reinforcements. So no disrespect to John Allen. And Deron Payne is my favorite defensive player for Washington since probably he's gotten to the team. But I wouldn't be surprised if both of them was gone next year. But you better believe John Allen.
What?
I saw it. Listen,
you're breaking my heart.
I saw a tweet. The pregame tweet. He was getting the crowd ready or whatever. And I wish I could remember who tweeted it out because they were like, that's the only time I saw him last night. And I'm like, dang, the fans are brutal. But I mean, for the money that he's making, though, that's all I'm saying. For the money that he's making, the impact just doesn't.
He missed 9 games. He missed 9 games with an injury.
I mean, but even before that, dude.
And
let's keep it a buck.
It's fine. It's fine. You guys are, Allen. You guys like Payne. I like Allen. He's been my guy since he's been here. I love everything about John Allen. But I'll admit, the production hasn't been there. But when guys, when you have, basically everybody, block it down, you see all the big runs against this defense are off tackle, and it's because everybody just blocks it down and takes those. They watch those guys out of the play. Now it's on those guys to bust through and make something happen. But teams are definitely focusing on those 2 guys. And as good as Fowler has been against the pass, the run has suffered a little bit. And he's been kicked out a few times or over pursued a few times in the run game. So I see what you guys are saying, but you're hurting my stomach a little bit talking about Allen that way. I actually wouldn't be surprised. He's going to be 30 next year. It would hurt to see him go. It wouldn't surprise me to see him go, but it would make me sad for sure.
Yeah, I just it's the money. I mean, if these guys are playing all on equivalent salaries, fine. I still think you can get better performance.
Yeah, and Allen's his guaranteed money. I think it dries up this year, so that's the big thing. And now he's like all roster. He's a cap casualty if there ever was one. Luckily, luckily for him, the team isn't in a whole lot of cap trouble. They got plenty of cap space, but they can certainly make room if they wanted to, if they no longer saw the value with him. I think he provides too much value to this team, even if the numbers aren't there. I think the value he provides is worth keeping him around, even if they have to restructure a little bit. But I'm a Jonathan Allen guy. I always will be. I'm in the tank for him.
Yeah, I think so. There is some money on his contract next year, but it's I don't know. I just feel like our issues still seem to revolve around areas those guys are supposed to be locking down. But you're right; they do get blocked and all that other stuff, and our defensive ends aren't great at contain. And Lord knows our linebackers can be late to pursue at times too. All right, so I think we'll handle the Cowboys pretty readily, and then from there be prepared to take on whomever in the playoffs. We know we're going to travel in the playoffs, right? And so we just need to be prepared. Is from a weather perspective though, with Philly or LA. I mean, shoot, Jayden's from LA too, by the way, which I forgot. Not
and also, the Rams don't have fans. Like that stadium is always full of opposing team fans. So, that might be a more friendly atmosphere for sure than Philly would.
Yeah. And then he's proven he can play in cold weather too. So I don't really have an issue with it. You always would love to take out your division rival in the playoffs, but man, I'm excited. Any final thoughts either on yesterday's game against the Falcons or this upcoming game? We'll do predictions in a minute, but this upcoming game against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, health is the main concern. It did, that this team had. There's only been one bad loss all season long, and it was that Dallas game. And it was really, the kicking woes were a big part of it. Hopefully, with Zane Gonzalez back healthy, that'll help out some. He's been pretty good when healthy, as long as you're not kicking over 50 yards.
Yep.
I would like to see a win just because that's the one loss. Like the other losses, you can forgive a 1-point loss to Pittsburgh, a touchdown loss to Baltimore, a touchdown loss, a 10-point loss to Philly on the road on a short week. We're cool with all those. The opening game loss to Tampa, those are all forgivable losses. The loss to Dallas just shouldn't have happened. They had no business winning that game. Washington did everything they could to kill themselves in that game. That's one I would like. That's the one reason I would like to see a victory this week, just to wash that taste out of my mouth. Outside of that, like I said, just keep everybody healthy.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? Final thoughts?
Yeah, obviously health is the most important thing. Want to make sure everybody get in, get some reps, and get the heck up out of there as quick as possible. Definitely running the ball. No design running plays for Jayden Daniels this week. We saw that last week. Time to
Good
keep
call.
that in the holster for the wild card game. And yeah, I just want to see some success. Did McMillan cross 1,000 yards yet?
Yeah, he did last week.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure. Yeah, because he had a rough game, and I know he's banged up. Honestly, if he doesn't play next week, I might be okay with that, because it's going to force Daniels not to force him the ball, and he may have to look for other receivers, which he's proven that he can do. So a nice, clean victory is something that we need.
Yeah, I think Terry can set the touchdown record too with one more touchdown, right? So I think he will play to try to get that, but we'll see.
They were definitely out of sync last night.
Yeah.
There was a couple of, there was the one Terry bobbled on a little slant pass, and then the corner was able to break it up. Then there were the two, like Jayden just missed him over the middle. There was the deep overthrow. They weren't in sync last night. So maybe get that back. But yeah, if not, we can get it back in the playoffs. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, no doubt. I wonder if we're going to see any more of Austin Seibert the rest of the year, or because you mentioned like Gonzalez's limitation when it comes to distance kicks. Early on, I say Seibert. I think it's Seibert. I never get it right if it's Seibert or Seibert, but either way, he was money on everything early on. I wonder if we don't see him this coming week, because I think he was out. His wife had recently had a child. I'm curious.
Yeah, the hip injury. That's what cost us the Dallas game. So they had a kick with that hip injury. So if he's healthy, I'd take him over Gonzalez.
I think so too, but I'm curious to see how Dan Quinn feels about that. All right. Score predictions. Eric, what do you think this week? Wait. Score predictions and who you think we're going to end up playing in the playoffs. Give me both.
All right. I'm going to take Washington this week. I think they will. I think they are serious about maintaining their position in the 6th spot. So I will take Washington, and I'll go 27-17 Washington. No, 27-24. I think it'll be closer than it needs to be, because these last few games all have been. So 27-24 Washington. And as far as who they play, wouldn't it be crazy if they start the season with Tampa and then they roll into Tampa first playoff game, and hopefully things change differently. So let's go. Some crazy stuff happens this weekend, and Washington plays at Tampa in the first playoff game.
Okay. I'll take that. You said 27-14?
27-24.
24, sorry. Okay, got it. Mike, what's your predictions?
I know I just went through that whole trend thing and said that somebody's getting whooped on Sunday, but trends are made to be broken. So I think Washington's, matter of fact, like they're favored by 3.5. I think they're going to win by less than that, less than 3 probably. Give me Washington 27, Dallas 25 off of some. They like it's going to look like any other Washington game has looked over the last 20 years. Y'all know how this works. Now, granted, they beat the brakes off the Titans and the Cardinals and the who else they crushed? I can't think of nobody else right now. Titans. Oh, I said the Titans. Like they crushed the teams that they're supposed to crush. The Browns is the last thing I'm thinking about.
Carolina.
Like they crushed the teams they're supposed to crush. But when it comes to the Cowboys, when it comes to divisional opponents, weird stuff just seems to happen. So I feel like as long as they win, it's good. Rather it's by 1 point or 100 points. And a team like Dallas, well, not even a team, a franchise like Dallas, like even in our most successful season ever, where we only lost 2 games, they went 3-13 or whatever that year. But one of their 3 and one of our 2 was their win and our loss. So, yeah, it's just something about Dallas that keeps me eerie, and I just want us to win. So I'm going to keep it cautious with the prediction. 25-27 Commanders.
I'd like to remind you, in 2012, we beat Dallas down on Thanksgiving, then beat them at the end of the year,
Oh,
too.
Lord. 2012. Thought we get to the show without talking about 2012.
I'm so glad that this year happened so we can stop talking about 2012.
I never hear that stupid year again.
All right, so I think we're going to wash Dallas and pretty soon. It's the end of the year. Dallas has nothing to play for. All their players are hurt. I think they're going to mail it in. They probably want a new head coach. I think Dallas is going to be absolutely miserable this week. I think we win. I'm going to say we win 42-8 this weekend. It's going to be a beatdown. We have a lot of motivation. I think we see our non-starters in the game early in the third quarter. Jayden Daniels finishes the game on the sideline with a towel around his neck, hyping the crowd up for the playoffs. That's what I think. Real quick, guys, I asked you guys this in text, and I said we're going to talk about it here. This is the last thing we're going to do. Get out of here. Eric, this current team versus a 2012 team and the 2015 team, does this team clear both of the 2012 and 2015 teams?
Both of those teams were one and done in the playoffs, and I do not care about them. All I know is this team gets boat raced by the 91 team, which is the last really good team we had. That's the year that I wish we could talk more about. 91 that's the best team I have ever seen ever, and that includes the 89 49ers, 85 Bears. That 91 team was unbelievable. As far as how this team would do against the smoke and mirrors team of 2012, Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller. Alfred Morris was a perfect Shanahan back, just like, Mike, what's his name, and Peyton Hillis and all those other guys. He was like a 1-year. Love Alfred Morris, but he was a system back. The Alex Gibbs zone blocking scheme was fun to watch. That 2012 team would probably run all over this team because this team can't stop the run at all. And then they would just throw a Benjamin St. Juste or Mike Davis the whole time. So, yeah, probably the 2012 team at its peak would 2012 team would go up like 28-7 in the first half. And then this team would adjust, and they wouldn't gain a rushing yard in the second half. And it would end in a 28-28 tie. That's how that would go because it was Jim Haslett's defense. So you know how they'd be rolling. The 2015 team, what even happened then? Was that a Kirk Cousins stupid you like that team? Why are we even talking about them? That team needs to get launched into the sun. I couldn't care less about them. But, yeah, this team would not beat the 91 team. That's all I can say.
Definitely not. No team in the NFL today, in my opinion, would beat the 91 team. I'm just saying. So
playing with 91 training and 91 rules, of course. Like the 91 team would just get destroyed today. But, all things equal, that 91 team is the best team ever.
91 officials. Yeah. Then, yeah, exactly.
I saw this one. Sorry. I saw this thing about like the 85 Bears against the 20 whatever Chiefs. Everybody was saying the same stuff. And I was like, I just need you to look at the Wilbur, like Google Wilbur Marshall hits Joe Ferguson from the Lions. Google that if you guys haven't seen that. Just Wilbur Marshall hits Joe Ferguson. I want you to watch that, and I want you to understand that play was not flagged, and then tell me, all things equal, the Chiefs stood a chance against that 85 Bears defense. So that is everybody who's listening's homework assignment. Wilbur Marshall hits Joe Ferguson, and then tell me how you think the 85 Bears, all things equal, would do against the Chiefs.
I think a good matchup for the Chiefs would be the 2000s Ravens versus the Chiefs today, or that championship Chiefs team. That defense for the Ravens was so elite. I wonder how they would do. Again, I think it depends on which era rules you play by, but exactly. Yeah. Mike, all right, same question to you, 2012, 2015, or this team? Which one is taking it?
2012, probably by default because of the coaching staff that was on that team. I think the rosters are about equal. Jayden may be the best quarterback out of the three or played the best out of the three, but I just feel like the coaching on the 15 squad is better than as good as what we have right now. Let me say that. But I think 12 supersedes both of them, and that's why they would lose.
Or the 2015
it's not like the 12.
Jay Gruden, Mike.
Huh?
2015 team was coached by Jay Gruden, so I'm gonna go ahead and disagree.
Yeah, but they had McVay and O'Connell on that staff still.
Yeah, but they were getting coffee that year.
Nah. McVay was the OC that year. I went when we were talking about it. I was thinking about the 16 team. I think that team was better offensively than 15, but they didn't make the playoffs, so who cares? But yeah, I think 12 with the Shanahans, with Mike and Kyle Shanahans, plus they had all the other coaches that Gruden kept, like McVay, O'Connell, what's my man name, McDonald from Miami. Like that 12 coaching staff was loaded. So knowing how deep they were on the coaching room, knowing that they had rookie RG3. There's a difference between rookie RG3 and any other RG3. That's the best RG3. You got rookie RG3. You got end of the road Moss.
Garcon.
Yeah, Garcon was there. Aldrich Robinson was there.
Pierre Garcon was
there. I like the 12. I like 12 versus the other two teams. But if you tell me that 24 will have the ball last and that Jayden Daniels will have the ball last, I'll pick him against any team in history at this point. Like, how can you deny what this man has done this season when the game is on the line, even in games that we lost? I'm going to say it every time we talk about clutch moments. The Cowboy pass was probably the best one. It's just that the extra point was missed, but that was the best pass. He couldn't have threw that ball no better. And, yeah, it happens, but I digress.
Should have went for two.
That's right. I think, I asked you guys the wrong team. I said 2015. I meant 2020. That's what I sent to you guys in the text.
Oh, the 2020 team. No.
No. The 2020 team. What?
Well, hey, some people believe. All right. What I'm going to say to you guys is this: I think that 2020 team would get smoked today by this team. I'll tell you why. The 2020 team had a lot of ups and a lot of downs that season. You guys remember we started off really poorly and got on a heater with Alfred Morris and RG3. But most of what made that 2012 team special was that they were doing things with the read option the league had not seen yet, right? In today's league, you have even non-mobile quarterbacks running that read option style offense at times. Defenses are used to seeing it, right? Yes, RG3 was effective in doing so, but the defensive backs and safeties are stronger and faster now than they were in 2012. I think we dominate that 20. Jeremy Chin gets a hold of RG3, it's curtains. There's nobody on that 2012 team that worries me for Jayden Daniels defensively, right? So 2012 team, they were I hate to say a gimmick. They just had something about them that was very specific to that read option. And when that read option and RG3 couldn't run, that was a whole different team, right? And even when we played Seattle in the playoffs, RG3 had to run on one leg for them to really be effective. Jayden can be effective without running and just by passing the football. I think we smoked that 2012 team. 2015, I was so disconnected from the team because of all the drama around Kirk Cousins and RG3. So I can't really give you an honest opinion about that much, except for the fact that I think that this team beats them because I think even that 2015 team's defense wasn't all that. Yes, I think Jordan Reed was phenomenal. Kirk Cousins was good, but I don't know. I just have more faith in this team. I know the receivers aren't quite as good as either of those teams as what we have right now. But all in all, I think we just find a way to do it because I think Jayden Daniels is just that much better than Kirk Cousins and RG3 ever was, even as a rookie. The question is, what are you going to get out of your defense? And if Lattimore's starting, hands down, this team, right? If he's starting to play well. So my take on an interesting question and different perspectives. If you watch this show or listening, leave your comments in the comments section. Shout out to the comments committee and all the folks that leave the really good comments. I think Chris, Dan, a few other people really do a good job of leaving us good comments. Keep doing so. And let us know your thoughts about the game, the playoff matchup, who you want to see, as well as how we would fare in 2024 against those prior teams that we had. Not the 91 team, because we all know what time it is with that group. But shout out to everybody that listens. Mike, Eric, thank you guys so much for joining as always and co-hosting here with me. Everybody, we appreciate you. Have a safe and happy new year. We will catch you in 2025 with more great Commanders content. Thank you all so much. Peace.